Hi there, this is Steve Forrest, the Selkirk Football Club. How are you? I'm interested in speaking to someone that could give me a little more information on one of your players. Thank you. Started into football coaching when I was 16. I realised very early on that through knee injuries that I probably wasn't going to make it as a professional football player. That and talent level probably helped. Um, when I moved to the States on a soccer scholarship, trying to prolong my playing career, I started coaching then with my then head coach. Um, from there, when I came back, that was what I realised I wanted to pursue. Started off down at Telford College doing a HNC, HND. Quickly moved on to doing my sports science degree at Napier, and then got my honours from Edinburgh, and then done a long distance degree in sports coaching from Dundee. Along with that, I was doing my SFA qualifications and working for different coaching companies, Curver and the SFA and things like that. From there, from college, I then started my own company called Premier Soccer Coaching, coaching 3 to 13-year-olds throughout Edinburgh. Enjoyed it, but certainly the older level was what I preferred to coach at. Apart from the 3-year-olds, they're fun. Started at Cowdenbeath, myself and my coaching partner at the time, and had them from under 13s up to 17s. There's three of that squad now in their first team and doing very well. I then moved from Cowdenbeath to Livingston in a fairly unsuccessful period in their history with they had a couple of Italian owners who pretty much destroyed the club quite successfully. They didn't pay anybody, so we left there quite quickly. At that point, myself and my coaching partner split. He went on to Dunfermline. I came back into Hibs, where I'd spent time there as a youth player. I enjoyed it, but unfortunately they gave me a kids level, they gave me the 10s, and I was trying to, as best I can, kind of continue on in the youth ranks. So I moved there and went back to the club that I played for as a kid, which was Hutchison Vale, which is based in Edinburgh here. Loved it, it was great. I rebuilt an older age group at under 19s. We were very successful. But from there, I decided to take a year out and go back into kind of studying again. I wanted to do my UEFA licences, so that's what we went into. Myself and my new coaching partner went and started on our UEFA B licence, which was great fun. I really enjoyed it, and at the same time, I got given a coaching role at Selkirk, which is where I'm currently at just now. They play in the Lowland League, which was a huge step up from youth football into senior football. They were the first licensed club in the Scottish borders to be able to join the SFA ranks. So it was nice to join a kind of up and coming club. Part of my playing career, when I went to the US, it was a full ride soccer scholarship. Started off at Iowa Central, right in the heartland of the States. It was an odd place, but to the same extent the people were absolutely wonderful. It was very much kind of rural and farmy. Coming from a city, I wasn't a huge fan of that. Didn't have a hugely successful playing career there, which was odd considering that I'd done quite well playing in my own country. Homesickness was a huge kind of factor in that, I think. Wasn't very good with that. I used to run at night rather than sleeping. I knew very early on with my knee injuries and things like that I'd gotten as an early youth that it was going to be coaching. If I wanted to stay within the game of football, it would be coaching that would take me into it. As I said previously, I'd started to coach at the local high school there when I was in Iowa with my coach. And we'd done really quite well, and then continued on doing summer camps and that sort of thing, which was really the kind of forebearer to me starting Premier Soccer coaching, because nothing like that existed in the country. Rather than it being like a governing body's structure, it was all based around fun. Our coaching company that we had started, and it was all based on the kind of stuff how the Americans taught their kids. Although sport in America seems to be you're treated like a god if you're an athlete there, but there's a lot of pressure on kids and youth and things like that to do well. But in soccer there, because it was such a new sport, everything was really quite relaxed and laid back, but probably because it was the kind of upper middle class that was doing it, and nothing really flustered them. And we tried to bring that to here, which I think for a lot of our kids that we had certainly worked. We were within 6 months the biggest coaching company in Scotland. I had to retire from football. It kind of generally started from about the age of 13, where I managed to dislocate my knee on on the football pitch. One of my friends we were there was a challenge. I spun around from it to get the ball, and my friend fell out of it and practically rugby tackled me with his shoulder, and sent me to the floor. In fact, that was the second time. The first time was on a trampoline of all things. Then I continued on, tried to play as you do. Um, Being at Hutchison Vale, there was a lot of pressure on you as a youth of being the best and trying to succeed. Along with that, you generally trained like 6.5 days a week, um, with professional clubs added into training your own. Um, and I think with that, it was this wear and tear eventually that caused the a cruciate tear that I got that finished me off pretty much completely. Um, it still allowed me to go to the States, but it wasn't without problems. I was calling in regards to Dean Cummings, your centre midfielder. We're looking to try and bring players into our club for the upcoming season. Um, would there be anybody at the club today that I would be able to chat with about? I think the player you're referring to is a chap called Gary O'Connor. Um, Gary started his career at Hibs, then moved on to, I think it was one of the Moscow teams. I always get the two of them mixed up. I won't say which one it was, and the fact that if I mess it up, I might have Moscow fans wanting to lynch me. But he was very successful in Russia. Um, Sadly, because of the cultural thing, his family just didn't settle. He could be away for six of the 7 days of the week, leaving his wife kind of sitting twiddling her thumbs in their house. And obviously with the big kind of language barrier, she found it very difficult to settle. Gary, as you can imagine, was then kind of left kind of faltering a little bit. And it wasn't long till he had moved back to the English Premiership. In fact, he came back to which was Birmingham City. Done very well down there. Again, I think most clubs that Gary goes to, he scores goals as you would expect. He's classed as one of the Hibernians' golden generation. Very successful player. It was a complete coup for a club that had finished last season at the bottom of the Lowland League, to sign a player that just 2 years previously had walked out for Scotland against Holland in Amsterdam. As the end of the season was coming, behind the scenes we had started to put into motion a full-time programme to start the following season at Selkirk, which would be the only full-time club in our league, along with being one of the only full-time clubs kind of outside the Premier Division or Championship. So, come the end of the season, we offered our four Frenchmen the opportunity to stay in Scotland full time, and there was two others at their academy that could have comfortably played at our level, but they were trying to put them at the level that they were at. Nothing had been offered to them, so we had also offered them terms. So we ended up with seven French chaps playing for us at the beginning of the season. Exciting when we had them, and certainly for the first 8 weeks when everything was going well, we were sitting second top of the league. The opportunities to play and coach all over the world because of the internet and because of different ways of being able to do it are massive. And I think with that, even youth football has become virtually a global sport. I try my best, generally, to make sure that any of my coaching staff, I mean, myself as a coach, possibly because I'm a young coach, I don't tend to shout. It's pointless shouting. Anybody shouted at me, I would ignore them. If I shout at a player, I'm going to be ignored. However, if you speak and just talk people through things, you tend to get better reactions. And then all of a sudden, if you do break down and as everybody does and have a slip and shout, it means more. People listen to what you're shouting about as opposed to going, "Oh, great," and now he's on a rant again. So yeah, kind of final thoughts are just treat your players the way you want to be treated yourself. It's a it's an odd sign off, but it's generally what I believe in.